Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be reacting to a video that I got sent just titled The Pub. I'm not really sure what to expect. Apparently it's some like funniest pub moments in Australia, but I'm not sure. So let's figure it out together. Let's go.
The pub, an important place and part of people's lives all over the world. A place where the world's greatest minds meet up to drink, eat, celebrate, gamble, argue, fight, and just about anything and everything in between. The pub is just one of those places that is suited to every single demographic that the Australian public has to offer. You've got the kids section, the tradesmen and elderly section, the smokers section, and of course the fighting section, just to name a few. Anyway, before I give away too much important information too early on, it's time for me to stop the waffle. Because in today's video we'll be going through the most important aspects of what makes a good Australian pub, and we'll also be going through some of the people you'll find at these pubs, and going through some of the greatest moments in Australian pub history. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so I wasn't so far away.
The pub has to be the name, and for this one I have to give the crown to the United Kingdom. You see, in Australia we have a few funny ones like this and this, but in the United Kingdom the list just seems to be endless. You've got ones like this, and my personal favourite, the ye old fighting cocks. Now I've got no idea what this obsession with cocks is all about, and I would ask King Charles, but me and him are still beefing, so let's move on. Now another extremely important part of a good pub has to be the pokies. Now the pokies, also known as the bricky's laptop, is a machine that turns your life savings into thin air. Now it's common knowledge that the pokies is a bad addiction and can cause you to lose thousands and thousands of dollars, but any good pub gets around this stigma by calling the pokies room the gaming room. But you see, in this gaming room you won't find Call of Duty or Fortnite. Instead you'll find a room that is packed wall to wall with Dragon Link and Pink Panthers. Now the people that occupy these gaming rooms are a small group of dedicated people comprised of the elderly, tradesmen, and not really anyone else. Now these people often sit on the plumber's PlayStation for hours or even days on end, and it's been heavily reported that sometimes these people even back one out or spring a leak at the chair, because you never know, that next spin could win you the feature. Now obviously
When I was growing up, I had a friend that his mom would always be at it was called the bingo. It wasn't really a pub, but it was like the bingo, where she was just all night playing with these machines. And I remember once being out for dinner, and I think it was like 11 at night, and I was with my friend, and his mom called him to ask if we could go over and give her like 100 Mexican pesos cash so that she would continue. And we went there and gave her 100 Mexican pesos to feed on her addiction. And I don't know what happened next, if she lost them or won more money, but I clearly remember having this friend. His mom was always there, so that's just what came to mind after watching this section of the video.
Obviously, I do not condone gambling, but always remember, while you can only lose 100% of your money, the percentage of your money that you can win is almost infinite. But that's enough waffle about the pensioner's piano, because that's not the only part that makes a good pub. You see, to make it a pub it needs to have a bar, and on one of the walls near the bar there needs to be 28 different TVs playing 28 different horse races and random footy replays. Now the only reason that there's so many TVs on the wall is to give the patrons something to watch when there's no brawl going on. But did you know, if you bring your own universal remote to the pub, you can control these TVs, and that's very handy for something like Grand Final Day, where you can play a little prank on the packed pub by turning the TV off about 30 seconds before the final siren.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember about
I'm not sure I would like to do that if you just mentioned in the video earlier that there's always a fighting spot. I don't want to be fighting any Australians. I've seen what the Australians can do. I saw the video of an Australian hitting a kangaroo, and I don't want to be near an Australian angry person.
5 seconds ago, I mentioned brawls. And if you pull this little TV prank, you might just find yourself in the center of one. And that's where the pub car park comes in. You see, back in the day, drink driving wasn't illegal. And due to the fact that many pubs in Australia are very old and heritage listed, they still have the car parks that they built when they first made them. Now obviously the pub car park is still used for parking, but if you've ever watched the movie Fight Club, you'd also know that it doubles as a boxing arena. Now for obvious reasons I can't really go too in depth on the pub brawls, but you don't really have to search too hard to find footage yourself. Now obviously the main attractions to the pub are the food and drinks, but due to the fact that I've already made a video on food and drinks, we'll keep this one short and sweet. Now obviously being a pub you can get whatever drink you want. Water, soft drink, beer, you name it. But due to the fact that the government raises taxes on alcohol every 6 months and inflation is through the roof, one alcoholic drink will cost you about 4 times what it'd cost just to get it from the bottle shop. But I have heard some rumours on the street that the only way to fix this would be to press that subscribe button. Hey, don't shoot the messenger, I'm just repeating what I've heard. Anyway, now we move on to food. The pub is the home of the healthy meal. You've got things like hot dogs, hot chips, burgers and chicken nuggets, just to name a few, but everyone knows that the holy grail is the chicken parmigiana. Anyway, one of the most important sections of any pub has to be the kids section. The kids section is usually a room like this with a cheap knockoff of the Macca's playground. And I'm pretty sure that it's a law that these playgrounds need to be sticky and gross from all the vomit, piss and shit that has caked itself onto the surfaces over the years. And while this is technically the kids section, after enough beer, anyone can fit down one of these slides. Now to top it off, the kids section always has to include one of these claw machines, which is simply there to introduce them to...
I'm actually, maybe my English is playing tricks on me, but I've always thought that a pub is like a bar. So I'm actually not sure if he's kidding here with the kids section. I think he is, but it might be that my English is not the best, and I've always thought the word pub is something else that I can't think of. But I don't think it's like a McDonald's where you can just bring your kids and have them play while you drink a beer and people are fighting on the side. So I'm gonna take this video with a grain of salt, because he's also said some stuff that didn't make sense before, right? But the kids part, I think it's not. I don't think it's me.
Gambling as young as possible. You see, just like the pokies, you're never gonna win. But these machines instill gambling into these young children's mind, and maybe one day they'll even get to play the pensioner's piano. Anyway, I think that's most bases covered. Now it's time to get into some of the greatest pub moments in Australian history. And of course, we're starting off strong with this guy right here. This man's name is Kyle Ferguson, and in 2022 he managed to get himself banned from every pub and licensed venue in all of Western Australia. Now for our overseas viewers, that may not sound very impressive, but for those who don't know, Western Australia is by far the biggest state in the whole country, which makes this even more impressive. Now a few days after his big night out, Kyle received this letter in the mail and decided to make a TikTok about it. Now thanks to the stupidity of this case, this TikTok got some traction.
Kyle claims nearly 1 million people viewed his rant on TikTok before it was taken down,
which brought its attention to the news, who decided to do an interview on our boy Kyle. And
what did he do? I want to see what he did.
Reason why he was banned from every licensed venue in the whole state of Western Australia.
The reason Cowboy's banned for a year from everywhere is because of an alleged tangle at Paramount nightclub last month. He's charged with failing to leave a premises and fighting in public.
Got into a fight with Seki over he chucked me wallet, and I didn't let that go. In my own defence, I shouldn't have done it.
Now look, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that just sounds like a normal night out. Now obviously, this is not quite the most ideal situation, so Kyle had to plan ahead for his future. And luckily, he had a plan in place already.
I most probably should stuff off to the States once I turn 21 and try bull riding for a bit.
So if any of you guys ever find yourself in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and you see our boy Kyle doing some bull riding, let him know that Big Daddy YH69 says hello. Anyway, next up we have
Big Daddy YH69.
These two kangaroos walked into this pub. I even managed to find some photos from a little bit later on in the night. The one time that Gary the Goat ordered a drink at the Poon Carey pub. The one time that Big Les, rest his soul, won $100 million on the pokies.
No, that's gotta be a joke.
And of course, the all-time greatest walk home from the pub, the punch bowl drunkard.
Hello, mate. How are ya? Too much drinking, eh? Whoa, 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 whoa. Be careful.
Whoa. He's drunk out of his mind, that man.
And that brings us on to our last and greatest moment in Australian pub history. The pub owner who smacked the crocodile with a frying pan. Now this guy here, Kai Hansen, owns a pub on his very own island. And that island is surrounded by crocodiles. Now one day this crocodile got a little too close to the entrance for Kai to be happy about. So Kai decided to come down the steps and give this crocodile a warning shot. Now despite having a gun on hand, Kai decided that the frying pan would do just as good of a job. So when the crocodile decided to charge at him, he gave him an almighty smack across the head. And after a quick PUBG style beating with a frying pan, the crocodile thought, "F this," and booked it back into the water. And just
Okay, that's gotta be about the funniest, most bizarre thing I've ever seen. An Australian coming out of his house to fight a crocodile with a pan. Jesus Christ, I don't think I was ever gonna say those words together. Fighting a crocodile with a pan. I would have called the police and the army. Not come out with a pan.
like our boy Kyle, this video also went viral and got the attention of the news, who decided to do an exclusive interview with him. And in that interview, we got to learn a little bit of lore about the crocodile situation.
King Kai lives alongside his beloved Casey, who entertains visitors on the banks of the Adelaide River. But a rogue croc named Fred has moved in and upset the pecking order.
And even got to learn a little bit about our boy Kai, who seems like a pretty chill dude.
I just grabbed the frying pan and gave an almighty smack on the nose.
Anyway, long story short, the crocodile, Fred, got taken away and probably got told that if he doesn't pull his head in, they're going to turn him into a handbag. And with that, the crocodile situation was rectified and they all lived happily ever after. Now, as much as I would
Happy
love to
ending,
continue going through the greatest moments in Australian pub history, it's very hard to find ones that aren't just all-out brawls. So on that note, it's time to end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share if you'd like to hear more teachings from the prophet of your hunt. And if you enjoyed...
Alright, I guess that is it for today's video. That was funny. That was really funny. I was not expecting a crocodile being hit by a pan, a kangaroo, or two kangaroos actually, entering a pub. The kids section, I really think it was just some sarcasm that I didn't really get from this video. Yeah, there were some funny moments in this one, so thank you to the person that sent it to me. Anyway, I guess that is it for today's video. As usual, if there's anything you'd like me to react to next, you have all the links right here. And without any further ado, thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye.